Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question is, can I analyze the case of Charlise Mutten? Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I will put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. First, I'll look at the background of this case, move to the timeline of the crime, then offer my analysis. Charlise Mutten was born on July 23, 2012, and lived in Australia. Her mother, Callista Mutten, and her father broke up not long after Charlise was born. Charlise did not have a relationship with her father. When she was 4 years old, Charlise went to live with her grandparents in Tweed Heads, New South Wales. Her grandparents became her legal guardians because Callista had a substance use problem. In 2017, Callista was sentenced to 3 years in prison after being convicted of dangerous driving occasioning death. She had killed a passenger in her motor vehicle during a collision that occurred while driving under the influence of methamphetamine. In 2018, while in prison, Callista met a fellow inmate named Justin Lawrence Stein. He had a long criminal history. Justin had been convicted of breaking, entering, and stealing from a dwelling, disposing of stolen property, and possessing a prohibited drug. When Callista met him, he was serving a 6.5-year sentence, which started in September 2017. Justin had been convicted for attempting to possess a marketable quantity of an unlawfully imported border-controlled drug. The couple became romantically involved. When Callista was released in late 2019, she waited for Justin. He was released in 2020, and the couple enjoyed their magical romance in person. They lived in a massive house on Shadforth Road in Mount Wilson, about 2 hours west of Sydney. The property was owned by Justin's parents. In addition to serving as a private residence, the house was also a wedding venue. Over the Christmas break in 2021, Callista wanted to spend some time with her daughter. On December 21, Charlise flew into Sydney and was picked up by Callista and Justin. The family spent Christmas at the home of Justin's mother. After this, they went to a campground in Lower Portland, about 1.5 hours east of the Mount Wilson property. Over the Christmas break, Justin used his red Holden, Colorado pickup truck to move furniture from Mount Wilson to Lower Portland. He had made a few trips back and forth. On January 11, 2022, Charlise went to stay with Justin at the Mount Wilson property because that's where his dog was going to be. She really enjoyed spending time with the dog. Callista agreed to this plan. Charlise was supposed to spend one night at the property with Justin. At 8:20 p.m., Justin sent Callista a message saying that he and Charlise had arrived safely at Mount Wilson. Charlise was watching television and playing with balloons. Now moving to the timeline of the crime. On January 14, 2022, at 8:12 a.m., Callista called 000, the emergency services number in Australia, and told the operator that 9-year-old Charlise was missing. She last saw her 2 nights ago. Here is what the police found during the course of their investigation. On the morning of January 12, 2022, when Charlise was staying with Justin at the Mount Wilson property, Justin called and texted Callista saying that Charlise was vomiting. He was going to leave her in the care of an auctioneer who happened to be on the property. Justin left the Mount Wilson property and picked up Callista. The pair traveled to the Sydney suburb of Surrey Hills to buy drugs. They also had sex while they were there. When they returned to the Mount Wilson property at 8:44 p.m., no one was there. Callista called a few hospitals to see if Charlise had been admitted. She thought maybe the auctioneer had taken Charlise to a hospital. The police discovered right away that the auctioneer never had Charlise. Justin was lying about this. Using data from Justin's cell phone, the police were able to track his movements. He departed the Mount Wilson property on January 13 at 4:13 p.m. He was driving his Holden, Colorado pickup truck and towing his boat. At 5:22 p.m., Justin purchased 5 44-pound bags of sand from a Bunnings store. This is a home improvement retailer. At 5:49 p.m., Justin went to a gas station and filled the tank of his boat. He had an object shaped like a cylinder covered by a blue tarp in the bed of his pickup truck. Over the next several hours, Justin drove to several locations that had access to water, as if he was looking for some place to launch his boat. By 2:45 a.m., now on January 14, Justin was at the Colo River, over an hour from the Mount Wilson property. At 3:27 a.m., he was captured at a gas station. At this point, the object which had been in the back of his truck was gone. At 4:26 a.m., Justin arrived at the Mount Wilson property. The police suspected that Justin murdered Charlise late on January 11 or early on January 12 and dumped her body in the Colo River early on January 14. On January 18, the police found her body near the river in an orange barrel. It appeared as though Justin had tried to roll the barrel into the river, but it became stuck on the embankment, wedged between a tree and a rock. The body of Charlise was wrapped in plastic and covered in sand. She had sustained one gunshot wound to the hip and one to her head. The murder weapon was a firearm chambered in .22 long rifle. In her system, Charlise had a toxic dose of the antipsychotic Seroquel. This dose had been administered within 6 hours of her death. Justin was arrested and charged with murder. His trial started on May 13, 2024. He admitted that he was the one who disposed of Charlise's body, but he said he did not kill her. Justin accused Callista of killing her daughter while they were at the Mount Wilson property. On June 19, 2024, Justin Stein was convicted of murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Now moving to my analysis. Justin Stein maintains his innocence. He argued that Callista was the real monster in this story. The Crown, of course, disagrees. They believe that Justin is a killer, although his motive remains unknown. This brings me to the question, was Justin guilty of murder? Let's take a look at the evidence both for and against the idea that he was guilty, starting with the inculpatory factors. Justin admitted that he disposed of the body of Charlise. He went to great lengths to conceal the evidence of her murder. This behavior is often associated with guilt. Justin admitted that he was lying when he said he left Charlise with the auctioneer. Justin claimed that he heard Callista shoot her daughter twice. He went into a shed for 10 minutes. When he exited, everyone and everything was gone. It would be very difficult for Callista to take her daughter's body and all the other evidence from the Mount Wilson property in just 10 minutes. On the morning of January 13, hours before Justin left the Mount Wilson property, Callista had taken his pickup truck. Justin responded by leaving her threatening voice messages demanding its return. He was screaming and repeatedly threatened to kill Callista with a firearm. Charlise had Seroquel in her system when she died. Justin had a prescription for this same medication, and it was found at the Mount Wilson property. Callista had never been prescribed Seroquel. On January 30, 2022, 12 days after the body was discovered, a woman was walking on a fire trail off Mount Wilson Road looking for flowers. This was not far from the property owned by Justin's parents. She called the police after finding a hole in the ground containing 2 rifles. One was a lever-action rifle chambered in .30-30 Winchester. The second was a bolt-action rifle chambered in .22 long rifle. Both guns had been stolen from a residence near the Mount Wilson property in August 2021. Justin's fingerprint was on the scope attached to the .22 caliber rifle. Moving to the exculpatory factors, both Justin and Callista had the opportunity to commit the murder. They both had a criminal record, including a history of substance use. Callista had used substances with Justin right before realizing that her daughter was missing. Callista admitted that methamphetamine had caused a lot of problems in her life, and she occasionally had drug-induced psychosis. She told a mental health professional that she would become psychotic when rejected by lovers. Justin testified that he heard Callista shoot Charlise twice when they were on the Mount Wilson property. When considering all the evidence in this case, do I think that Justin Stein was guilty of murder? Yes, he was guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. What do I think happened in this case? This is just a theory, my opinion. Both Justin and Callista were self-centered, impulsive, irresponsible, immature, sensation-seeking, addicted to substances, and had a sense of entitlement. In addition, Justin was cold, callous, violent, lazy, sadistic, deceptive, and manipulative. People who knew Justin described him as a psychopath, an absolute and utter piece of blank, and a pathological liar. He would rip off just about anyone who was around him. Justin had grown up wealthy. He went to a private all-boys school for years. At the age of 11, he started using drugs, adding heroin to the mix at the age of 13. He claimed that he was diagnosed with schizophrenia at 15, but there is no proof of this. At some point, however, he was given an antipsychotic medication, so a clinician must have believed that Justin was at least psychotic. Not long before Justin killed Charlise, he was on dating websites and viewing clothing-challenged images. When her body was found, Charlise was not wearing underwear. The Crown has not accused Justin of anything based on this discovery. I don't know why Justin killed Charlise, but I believe he chased her down outside and shot her. This explains why she was shot in the hip first, then shot in the head at close range. Whatever was happening, Charlise was trying to escape from Justin. Her last moments were filled with unimaginable terror and agony. Justin blamed Callista for Charlise's death and claimed that he was suffering from psychotic symptoms during the murder. This is why he did not behave in a rational manner. The only diagnosis that was definitively established for Justin was substance use disorder. As far as Callista, I don't believe that she was involved in the murder at all, but she was wildly irresponsible and certainly put Charlise in harm's way. She told the media that she was not a monster, she never viewed her behavior as putting Charlise in harm's way, and she would do anything to get her daughter back. As far as accepting responsibility, Callista blamed herself for trusting Justin, but this seems like a bit of a deflection. Callista was pregnant with Justin's child at the time of the murder. Maybe this put her under pressure to view Justin as desirable or redeemable. Regardless, any reasonable person would have known not to trust Justin. He had numerous and pronounced psychopathic characteristics, which everyone who met him recognized. The substance use was likely Callista's main problem. It distorted her judgment severely. She admitted that she was psychotic for 3 days after the murder. One could argue that substances were more important to Callista than anything else in her life. Charlise was simply not a priority. Charlise counted on her mother to protect her, and that did not happen. She hoped that Justin would be a good father for her, but he failed. Charlise was a fan of his. She was excited about spending time with him. She hoped that he would be a loving and responsible parent. Charlise had faith in Justin, which is understandable for a 9-year-old. Callista had faith in Justin, which is inexcusable for an adult. Those are my thoughts in the case of Charlise Mutten. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comments section. They consistently generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be informative. Thanks for watching.